Okay, you can start there now.
I did.
Oh, okay, this is a demo of how I mount a painting or calligraphy on rice paper. The paper is dry. The ink is set for a period of time so it's not going to run. So we're all ready to go. Depending upon the size of the painting or calligraphy, you may only need a small piece of plexiglass like this or a larger piece. The largest piece of plexiglass I have is about 4 feet by 8 feet, which I use the odd time to do large pieces of calligraphy. I have tried it on window glass and I don't recommend that because the paper that I'm going to be attaching onto this, it sticks to the glass, but later I'll explain that later on. Okay, so here's my painting. The good side right now is up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it down, and I have a spray bottle here of water, and I have one of these brushes here which I have wet. So basically all I'm going to do is wet this paper, basically float it on the plexiglass to get rid of any bubbles and or wrinkles. You can see that there are some creases here already in the paper. Don't worry too much about that at all. So get your painting centered on your plexiglass, and I just start at one end here like so, just to sort of tack it down so the paper's not going to move all over the place like so. Then what I do is I lift this up here, and then I just start in the middle and go off to one side, come back to the middle and go over to the other side, and just keep doing this all along until the painting has been attached. Actually, it's just floating on the plexiglass, and I'm using a fair amount of water here. Okay, so we get it down like so. And this, if you hold the dry end up until the very end, it eliminates pretty well all the wrinkles. Now, I don't know if it shows up in the video, but there are a couple of small little bubbles here. The paper isn't quite flat, so I take this brush and I just gently push the bubbles off the side like so. Get it nice and smooth here. And I've done this with large pieces of paper and small ones, some even smaller than this, but this is a good size to work with. So just smooth out all the bubbles. If you see any bubbles, just sort of push them off to the edge of the paper. And you're also moving the any creases that you have, you're getting rid of those. So we're getting pretty close here. There's still a couple more bubbles. And it doesn't take very long to do this. Okay, there we are. So this is fairly wet here. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use paper towels to wipe off the excess water along the edge of on the plexiglass. Just go all the way around, just wipe that dry. Like so. All right. Now what I want to do is I want to more or less dry this paper. I just want it to be damp. I don't want to be, at this stage, I don't want it to be sopping wet. So I'm just going to damp dry the painting like this. And this will also help eliminate or get rid of any of the bubbles that you weren't able to get rid of. So you just go around like so. So I'm just lifting off the excess water. And again, just go around the edges to dry that. So now I've got this painting, and the good side is down. I don't see any bubbles, there aren't any creases, so that's the first step, and that's probably the hardest step. So the next little clip will show the next step. Now this is the paper that I'm going to be mounting my painting onto. It is pre-pasted heavy-duty wall liner, and it's put out by Brewster Wall Covering Company in the States. It's white paper, and this is the sheet here I've cut to the right size. It's wallpaper, and it has glue on one side. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be just dipping this in water, just enough to get the paper wet. I don't want to lose the glue on it. This can be done in a sink or a bathtub if the piece is too big. But basically all I want to do is I just want to get this wet, okay? And once it's wet, then I'm going to be putting it glue side down onto this painting. So now I've wet the paper, and I'm going to be putting a glue side down. Sometimes, depending upon the size, you may want someone else to help you with this. But basically you're going to have about a 1/2 inch around the outside of your painting. Put it on like so, and you can use the same paper towels you had before, and you just, not too hard, but just press any bubbles between this paper and your painting out. It's easy enough to do. And this helps lift off some of the moisture too from the mounting paper. So the bubbles are just about gone. And that's all there is to it. So all you have to do now is let it dry. Don't use a hair dryer. I find if it dries too quickly, you're going to have problems with it curling and doing weird things. So just put it in a fairly dry space. I just let it dry overnight, depending upon where it is. But just let it dry, and then if you see any bubbles sticking out, just flatten down like that, and that's all there is to it. So I found that if I mount this on glass, window glass, where the mounting paper is stuck to the glass itself, it's really hard to remove this from window glass. Whereas with plexiglass, it just pops right off practically by itself. And here we have the painting that has been mounted with the wallpaper. It is starting to lift a little bit on this corner here. It's still stuck down here, so it's quite easy just to lift it off like so. And there we go. So that's what it looks like. And now all you have to do is just I use a guillotine, but just trim off the excess around the edges like that, and then you have a nice painting or calligraphy that has no bubbles, no wrinkles, everything is perfectly fine. Then if you want to, you can sign your name and put your stamp on it, but there it is, all finished. Simple as that.